Sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't found in a bottle or a hospital, it's found in the words of someone who's been where you are and lived to tell the story. In life, we all encounter moments that test our strength, but illness has a unique way of shaking us to the core. It can strip away our routines, our sense of control, and even our hope. Yet, in these moments, there are stories that stand as bright beacons, reminding us that hardship, no matter how heavy, can be transformed into something meaningful. Take Terry Fox, for example. At just 18 years old, and he faced the devastating news that he had bone cancer and would lose his leg. For most people, and such a diagnosis would be enough to end dreams and ambitions. But Terry refused to let his illness define him. Instead, he decided to run across Canada on one prosthetic leg to raise awareness and funds for cancer research. He didn't finish the run because the cancer returned, but his marathon of hope inspired millions and continues to raise funds decades after his passing. His illness became the foundation for a movement that still saves lives today. These stories show that illness and hardship do not have to be the end. They can be the beginning of something powerful. By looking at those who have walked through the fire before us, we see that courage is not about avoiding pain, but about turning it into a force for good. Pain is one of the most honest experiences in life. It doesn't ask for permission, and it doesn't wait for the right moment, and it never feels fair. Whether it comes from illness, loss, or heartbreak, and a pain demands our attention and can consume our thoughts. When you are lying in a hospital bed or struggling just to get through the day, it's hard to see beyond it. It feels like this is all there will ever be. That is why the first step to overcoming it is to acknowledge it. Pretending it doesn't exist or telling yourself to just be strong can sometimes make the weight heavier. Pain is real, and it deserves to be recognized. But while pain is real, it is not final. It is a chapter in your story, not the ending. Every scar you carry, whether on your body or your heart, can become a reminder not just of what you endured, but of what you overcame. In the middle of hardship, it's hard to believe that life will ever feel different, and yet time and resilience have a way of changing the picture. The moments that feel like an ending can, in fact, ever be the beginning of something new. Think about the people you know who have faced unimaginable struggles. Perhaps someone fought cancer, lost their mobility, or battled depression. At the time, they might have felt broken. But slowly, step by step, they moved forward. They learned to live with the pain, adapt to new realities, and discover fresh meaning in life. Often, they didn't come out the same as before. They came out stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Pain changes us, but it doesn't have to destroy us. It can open doors to unexpected paths, new relationships, new passions, and even new strength you never knew you had. Many people find that their hardest seasons became the reason they later helped others and wrote their story or stood up for a cause that mattered deeply to them. So, when you're in the middle of struggle, remind yourself, this is not forever. You are still moving, still breathing, still here. The pain might slow you down, it might shape you, but it does not have the power to erase your future. Your story is still being written, and the pages ahead are waiting for you to turn them. There are moments in life when your own strength feels like it has run dry. You wake up tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. The road ahead seems too steep, and the idea of pushing forward feels impossible. In these moments, it is easy to feel alone, as though no one could understand the depth of your struggle. But the truth is, someone out there has faced a battle like yours and won. When your own courage is running low, you can borrow some from them. Borrowing courage doesn't mean comparing yourself to others or pretending your pain is less important. It means allowing their stories to remind you that it is possible to keep going, even when it feels unbearable. And when you hear about someone who fought through a similar illness, loss, or challenge, their resilience becomes a spark for your own. And that spark can be enough to get you through one more day, one more hour, or even just one more breath. Let their hope become your hope until you're strong enough to stand on your own again. One day, you may find yourself lending your own courage to someone else, becoming part of the unbroken chain of people who help each other rise. Every struggle we face in life leaves a mark. It could be the physical reminder of an illness, the emotional scars of loss, or the quiet ache of dreams delayed. In the moment, These struggles feel like heavy chains that slow us down, hold us back, and drain our spirit, but over time, they can become something else entirely. They can become the very tools that shape our character, deepen our compassion, and give us the ability to reach out to others with real understanding. And turning struggle into strength is not about pretending the pain never happened. It's about using it to create something meaningful. When you've walked through darkness, you carry a kind of wisdom that can't be learned from books or lectures. You know what it feels like to be afraid, to be exhausted, to want to give up. That experience makes you uniquely equipped to connect with people in their own moments of hardship. When you share your story, you are not just talking about survival. You are showing someone that survival is possible. Take Oprah Winfrey as an example. As she grew up in poverty, faced abuse, and endured a series of painful setbacks early in life. Yet, instead of allowing those experiences to define her as a victim, she used them to fuel her empathy and her ability to connect deeply with people's stories. Today, and much of her influence comes from the fact that she has known suffering and turned it into a platform to uplift millions. Or think about Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who lost his family in concentration camps. Out of unimaginable pain, and he developed his philosophy that meaning can be found even in the most hopeless situations. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, and has comforted and inspired generations because it comes from lived experience, not theory. Struggle can also transform our perspective. Once you've fought through a crisis, smaller challenges don't intimidate you the same way. You develop resilience, patience, and gratitude for even the simplest moments of peace. You start to notice what truly matters and let go of what doesn't. That shift in perspective can be a powerful gift you pass on to others, helping them see beyond the temporary pain they're in. And turning struggle into strength doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of reflection, acceptance, and action. First, and you allow yourself to feel the pain and acknowledge what happened. Then you look for lessons in the experience. Finally, you find ways to use those lessons to help others. This could be through volunteering, mentoring, writing, speaking, or simply being present for someone who needs a listening ear. Your struggles are not wasted if they lead you to lift someone else up. In fact, that might be their greatest purpose. Pain has the power to harden us or to soften us toward others. Choosing the second path doesn't just change the lives you touch, it changes your own, turning wounds into a source of strength that will never run out. Every person carries a story, and the most powerful ones are born out of struggle. When you've gone through something difficult, an illness, a loss, a setback, you gain a kind of insight that can't be taught in a classroom. You know the sleepless nights, the fear, the doubt, and the moments when you wondered if you could keep going. What you may not realize is that your survival is not just for you. It has the power to become a lifeline for someone else who is silently fighting the same battle. When you share your story, you do more than just speak about what happened. You show someone that they are not alone. Loneliness is one of the heaviest burdens in pain, and hearing from someone who has walked the same road can feel like a light being switched on in a dark room. Even if your story doesn't have a perfect ending, the fact that you are still standing, still breathing, still trying that alone can give hope to someone who feels like giving up. Think about the number of people who have been inspired by books, talks, or even short conversations from survivors of illness, addiction, or trauma. Many cancer patients, for example, find strength not from statistics, but from talking to someone who has been through chemotherapy and come out on the other side. The details you share, the good days, not on the bad days, the coping tricks can become a survival guide for someone else. It doesn't always have to be a grand public speech or a published book. Sometimes it's as simple as talking to a friend, writing a post online, or sitting beside someone in the hospital waiting room and saying, "I've been there, and you will get through this." Your honesty, your empathy, and your willingness to be vulnerable can touch lives in ways you may never fully know. Your journey, as painful as it was, can become someone else's turning point. By telling your story, you are planting seeds of hope in places where despair has taken root, and one day, that person you encouraged might go on to help someone else, creating a chain of courage and resilience that stretches far beyond you. The pain you survived is already proof of your strength. and sharing it turns that proof into a gift that might be exactly what someone else needs to keep going. And your scars are not just reminders of what you've survived, they are the proof someone else needs to believe they can survive too. And tell your story. You never know whose life it might save.